Welcome to KR Films Entertainment Channel. Today we will explain a 2012 Bollywood thriller drama film Talaash. The story of a ghost lady who assists a police officer in apprehending her murderers without revealing that she is a ghost, although the film was released in such a way that it is difficult to understand the entire plot. The film begins on a dark night on a desolate road in Mumbai, where some drug addicts and beggars are conversing. Meanwhile, a car speeds down the road at a breakneck speed, and the driver turns the steering wheel so forcibly that the car loses balance and plunges into the nearby river. The next morning, a police team led by Inspector Sarjan Singh Sekawap arrived at the crash site. They inquired about the cause of the accident from the beggars. According to the beggars, the driver unexpectedly turned the car towards the river, as if something had come in front of his car. One of the beggars claims that this could be due to a paranormal reason, because his dog observed something unusual just before the accident. The car is then pulled from the river, revealing that the deceased is none other than the well-known actor Arman Kapoor. The case has now become much more important for the police to solve, because it involves an influential Bollywood personality. The scene then shifts to a red light area near the accident site, where a pin named Tamer rushes to inform his friend Pink Shushi that Amo was killed in a car accident. Hearing this, he became perplexed, implying that these pimps have some sort of connection with Amon. Furthermore, they are particularly worried about police presence in their red light area for investigation, and this makes it further clear that they are involved in this case. Inspector Sekawat is a married man, and while having dinner with his friends at home, his wife, Roshni Sekawa, becomes enraged and leaves the dining table for an unknown reason. He apologizes to their guests for her behavior and then goes to bed. Actually, both are still emotionally distraught as a result of the death of their only son Karan. Then in a flashback, Sekawat, Roshni, their son, and his friend went on a picnic near a lake. While his parents were resting near the lake, Karan felt compelled to go play with his friend. Karan and his friend boarded a boat, and as soon as the engine started, Sekawat woke up and rushed to stop his son from sailing alone in the deep lake. But before he can approach them, they begin sailing. Much to Sekawat's chagrin, the boat wobbled and turned around, dumping both kids into the lake. Sekawat dove in to save them, but only managed to save his son's friend. While Karan drowned and died due to this incident, they are unable to unwind and feel accountable for their son's passing. Sekawat is unable to get a good night's sleep, because his son appears in his dreams whenever he tries to sleep. He feels terrible about not saving his son, and whenever he wakes up, he begins driving around the city late at night to be distracted. The following day, Sekawa learns from Amo's wife that the night Amo died, his driver and assistant were not with him, and it never happened that Amo drove alone. He continues his investigation and discovers that when this accident occurred, Amo had $20 million in cash in his car, which had gone missing. Realizes that Amo was probably going to pay $20 million to anyone who blackmailed him into coming alone. Shushi, who is concerned about the police in the red light area, decides to leave the city. He packs his belongings, and it is revealed that Shashi has Amo's 20 million rupees, indicating that he was the blackmailer. Furthermore, he works as an agent who supplies girls to rich folks for their pleasure in exchange for a commission. In the end, Shashi is one of the worst and most cunning guys in the red light area, having many girls in his custody and beating them to serve as prostitutes. Malika is one of those helpless girls who will serve as a key clue in Sekawat's investigation. Meanwhile, Tamer approaches Shashi and provides him with a new SIM card so that he can avoid being tracked. Sekawat and Roshni move into their new home, where Roshni is approached by their neighbor Freddy while renovating. Roshni goes into the kitchen to get some coffee for her, while Freddy begins to go through their belongings. She opens a box, finds Karan's picture, and begins to talk to him. She reveals to Roshni that she can communicate with their deceased son, which Roshni does not believe. Sekawa, after learning about this, believes Franny is abnormal and advises Roshni to avoid her during their society meeting. Sekawat notices Funny staring at him constantly. Furthermore, after the meeting, she approaches them and informs Sekawat that his son Karan instructed her to deliver his message, which is, Duda, I am fine where I am, and you do not need to feel guilty about not being able to save me. She also mentions that Karan wants to speak with him. Sekawa becomes enraged and warns her never to try duping him by referencing his son again. He walks away with Roshni telling her that everything Franny said was a lie, and that she should not believe her. However, Roshni confronts him and claims that whatever friend he said is true, otherwise how does she know Karan used to call him Duda? Sekawa is still skeptical that Franny can communicate with the ghosts and storms out of the house. In tears, he drives away from his house and comes to a stop near the accident site at a red light area. A beautiful prostitute named Rosie approaches him and invites him to have pleasure with her. But he declines. He wipes away his tears and offers her to be his spy in the red light area, to which she agrees. She then prompts him to join her at the Hotel Lido for some fun. Hearing about Hotel Lido, he recalls Amo's account and telling him that Amo used to go to Hotel Lido to pay someone. Sekavad invites her into his car and begins driving to the Lido Hotel. On the way to the hotel, he asks her if she knows anything about Merkin, who works at Hotel Lido has Amo's accountant. Mentioned that Amo used to visit him. To his surprise, she provides him with a wealth of useful information such as the fact that Mergan no longer works at the Hotel Lido and is in his village due to illness. He is surprised that she knows so much about Merkin. To which Rosie responds that she used to visit the Hotel Lido with many clients and is familiar with all of the staff after receiving this information. He returns her to where she was picked up before leaving. Rosie tells Sekavad that she will be extremely useful to him throughout the case. The next morning, Sekovat dispatches Devrat Kulkarni to Mergan village to verify Rosie's information. Kulkarni calls Sekavat and informs him that Mergan is in the village and is dying of an illness. He informs Sekavat that Merkin used to receive payment from Amo after being ordered by the red light area's pimp, Shushi. Sekavat and his crew conduct a raid at Shashi's residence, where they learn that he has gone to his village. They conduct a raid on his village where they encounter Tamer, who informs them that Shushi left the village for an unknown location. The police arrest Tamer to obtain information from him, but after obtaining no details they release him. Following his release from police detention, Tamer dials the last number from Shushi's SIM card. Before he can say anything, the person on the other end of the phone misidentifies him as Shushi and requests that he wait for the remaining cash. Tamer becomes money hungry and continues to call the guy, which enrages him and he hires someone to kill Shashi. The shooter kills Shushi with a sniper, and the unknown person, with whom Tamer was conversing as Shushi, is relieved that Shushi is no longer alive. Tamer, on the other hand, continues to blackmail him using Shushi's phone number, leaving him perplexed as to what is going on. While doing house chores, Roshni hears the doorbell, but finds no one except a letter. She opens the letter and is shocked to find that it is from Karen. Freni then approaches her and convinces her that she can communicate with the souls. She adds that their son wishes to speak with them. Roshni joins her in the hope of speaking with her deceased son. Meanwhile, at the police station, Sekavat discovers a clue from last day Rosie's conversation that Shushi might be dead. He directs his crew to search mortuaries for Shashi's body, which they discover in a nearby mortuary. The police conduct an investigation at his home and discover cash there, seeing which Sekavat becomes sure Shashi was the blackmailer. They investigate all pimps and prostitutes associated with Shushi but find nothing solid. Nirmala, a prostitute Tamer has a crush on, informs him that Shushi has died. He rushes to Shushi's house in search of hidden money but finds none. Indeed, he discovers a CD, which when played shows Arman Kapoor and his two friends leaving the Hotel Lido with a prostitute. Seeing the prostitute's face, he recalls that about 3 years ago Shushi supplied this prostitute to Arman Kapoor, but she got injured due to an accident. Furthermore, he was the one who brought the doctor to cure that prostitute, but she died due to blood loss. He realizes Shushi was blackmailing Armand with this video to obtain money, so he takes the CD with him to continue blackmailing Armand's friend, with whom he had been speaking earlier on the phone. The next morning, Sekava visits Amo's house to conduct further investigations. Sanjay, Arman's friend, is still there. While speaking with Sekavat, Sanjay receives a phone call from Tamer, who threatens to expose him unless he pays 50 million. After that, the scene changes to Sekavat and Roshni leaving for a movie. They have a good time until Karan's friend from that day arrives with his parents. Sekavat recalls Karan when he sees him and walks away in grief. Roshni says him to control his emotions and forget about that day. But he is unable to. He leaves Roshni at home and drives to meet Rosie. Observing him upset, Rosie takes him to the bank of a river, where they have lovely conversations. She informs Sekavat that she is well acquainted with Sanjay and Karan. She adds that she went out with them for fun 3 years ago, but there was another guy named Nico with them. She concludes by stating that a girl named Simran mysteriously vanished that day. But no one ever attempted to look for her. Inquires as to why she brings him here, to which she responds that he can find her here whenever she is unavailable anywhere else. This response perplexes Sekava as to what it means, but he ignores it and continues with his investigation. The next day, when he gets back home, he discovers that Roshni is not there. He searches the house for her, but comes up empty-handed except for Karan's letter. He realizes she must be at Franny's house and goes there. He finds her sitting next to Freddy and forces her to return home, claiming Franny is a weird woman who can harm her. Roshni, on the other hand, dislikes his conduct and yells at him for being overprotective. Sekavat, heartbroken and depressed, goes to the riverside to meet Rosie as she claims she shows up out of nowhere and takes Sekovet to a hotel room to make him feel better. Sekovet then shows Rosie a photograph of his son and informs her of the incident. Rosie consoles him mentally by complimenting him and Roshni. She urges Sekovet to release Malika from Shushi's boys' claws, to which he agrees and falls asleep. For the first time since Karen's death, he slept soundly all night. The following morning, Sekovet travels to the red light area to free Malika from incarceration, where she is being forced to serve as a prostitute. She transports her to an NGO where she is free to live her life. She expresses gratitude to Sekovet. Sekovet responds by telling her to thank Rosie, who helped him reach her. She responds that she is unaware of any Rosie. Sekovet is perplexed as to how Rosie knew Malika was incarcerated, because she is unfamiliar with her. When Sekovet is about to leave, Malika informs him that Tamer is involved in this case, because he invaded their home after Shushi's death and stole something. Meanwhile, Tamer calls Sanjay and threatens to expose him if he doesn't meet him at the railway station with 50 million. He includes Nirmala in his plan. By promising to give her a portion of the money, they will get things go as planned. He receives the money from Sanjay's man, but soon after they begin pursuing him in order to kill him to avoid being blackmailed again. Tamer manages to swap the money bag for an empty one from Nirmala and instructs her to wait for him. The guys, however, continue chasing him until they reach a deserted building. After a long wait for Tamer, Nirmala boards a train into parts with money. Here Tamer is brutally beaten by Sanjay's men for money, but he stays silent. Meanwhile, Rosie appears out of nowhere, causing Tamer and Sanjay's men to be perplexed. However, on Sanjay's orders, they shoot Tamer, who falls off the building while saying Simran. Police arrive at the crime scene and start the investigation. People near the crime scene tell the cops that Tamer was saying Simran's name before he died. One of the men Sanjay hired to kill Tamer got injured and was apprehended by locals. He is admitted to the hospital to find out more. Sekovet visits the hospitalized man. Sekovet threatens him with death if he does not reveal the identity of the man who hired him to kill Tamer. Fearful, he tells Sekovet that Sanjay hired him to kill Tamer and Shashi. After a while, Sekovet receives a call from Kulkarni, who informs him that Simran was a prostitute who died 3 years ago. Following this, Sekovet and his police team raid Sanjay's home to arrest him. He admits that he hired the assassin to kill Tamer and Shushi. He reveals that Shushi was blackmailing him by using a video clip he had. Sanjay reveals to Sekovet that about 3 years ago he, Nico and Amo selected a prostitute named Simran to have fun with her at a bachelor party, but Nico began flirting with her in the car. Unexpectedly, the car door opened and they both fell out and got severely injured. They took Nikhil to a nearby hospital, but left Simran half dead on the road to avoid losing their reputation. He then called Shushi, who had provided them with this prostitute, and informed him of the incident. Shushi took her to his home, but she died soon after. He goes on to say that Shushi has a video of Simran leaving the hotel with them and threatens to leak it if they don't give him money, to persuade Sekovet that he is not lying. Sanjay plays the video clip in which a prostitute is accompanying them. Sekovet is shocked when he sees the prostitute's face and claims that she is not Simran, but Rosie, who is still alive, tells Sanjay that Rosie and Shushi conned him out of money. He concludes by ordering his officers to return to the police station and directing Kulkarni to look for Rosie as soon as possible. After the police have left, Sekovet and Sanjay in a police car start heading to the police station. While en route to the police station, when they arrive at the location of Amo's accident, Sekovet notices Rosie seated in the back seat from the rear view mirror. He is terrified by what he has witnessed and turns around to find no one. When he returns his face to the front, he and Sanjay see Rosie appearing in front of their car out of nowhere. Sekovet turns the steering wheel violently to save her, causing his car to plunge into the river just like Amo did earlier in the story. Sanjay dies on the spot as a result of the accident, and the car begins to fill with water, which could kill Sekovet as well. However, as usual, Rosie appears in the water to save Sekovet because the car door is jammed. After being rescued, Sekovet is convinced that ghosts and souls exist in the real world and that Rosie, who assisted him throughout this case, was Simran's ghost. Sekovet tells his supervisor the entire story. His supervisor, who does not believe in ghosts, instructs Sekovet to fabricate evidence that Amo's death was accidental, and Sanjay jumps into the river to avoid being arrested. Sekovet does so, falsely reporting their deaths. He decides to assist Simran's soul in finding peace. He recalls Rosie's words that if he can't find her anywhere else, he can find her on the riverbank. He returns to the location where he used to meet Rosie and begins digging for no apparent reason. However, after some digging, he discovers the remnants of Simran's body, which he recognizes by her ring. He takes her remains and gives her a proper funeral. After being certain that ghosts and souls exist, he goes back to his house, gets Karen's letter out of the cupboard, and goes to the lake where he died to read. it according to this Karen is happy wherever he is and wishes his parents happiness as Fanny has already mentioned. He also stated that his father should not hold himself responsible for not being able to save him. When he reads this letter he becomes extremely emotional and bursts into tears. In the meantime Roshni arrives to console him and the film ends. Thanks for watching.